All right, everyone. Hello, hello. Welcome to God's Get Through His Word, another episode. I'm glad that you are here with my amazing podcast partner and friend, Pastor Jay. Hello, Pastor Jay.
Hey, T. Hey, everybody. How are you doing today? I pray that everything is going well with you.
Yes, everything's going great. So, we're going to be talking about one of our favorite subjects, one of mine anyway, that you do for cuffing season, because we're jumping into cuffing season and we're going to be talking about blood in the water. And before we get started, I had found an old notebook where we had talked about blood in the water in 2022. So, I
Okay.
guess we'll be looking at it from that, not that perspective, but if anything has changed since we talked about it from that time till now.
Yeah, I think, T, what you should do is first let's give a definition of what cuffing season consists of so they'll know what we'll be talking about over the next weeks.
Okay. Well, so cuffing season is a time when single individuals get together. And what that means is they find each other to link up with in another terminology, which is cuffing together during the holiday seasons. And this is not just, okay, it's just a holiday season. It really is a biological phenomenon that people may not understand, that when the seasons are changing, that actually is something that is actually happening inside of their body, and then they want to be with someone, like how the bears go and hibernate. People want to be together with each other. It comes around during the holidays. It ramps up. So Pastor Jay and I have talked about this before, that cuffing season is always going on all year long. Just during the holidays, it's more heightened because of all the holidays, all the different things on the TV. Everybody wants to be booed up with somebody. So then they get together for this time period. And it usually starts at the end of Halloween and it goes all the way to Valentine's Day. And then after that, they kind of use each other up for whatever it is. And then they kind of drop the person. So we'll be talking about all the different things that are encompassed in cuffing season. So Pastor, you can add anything that you want to add to that if you like.
Yeah, and what I think I've discovered, because of the social media, it's really been heightened. The emphasis on it, the exposure to it. When we first started this, many people didn't even know what cuffing season was. But now everybody knows what cuffing season is. And what we're trying to do is if you find somebody that you care for and you guys end up going off and having a great relationship, that's fine. But there's a lot of people getting hurt during this time and being taken advantage of. And that's what we want to discuss. And that's what we want to bring out. So you can have your radar up during this time and realize that you may be falling prey to the, the the social part of it, not just the biological part, but the social part of it, of being pressured uh, by some reason that you got to have somebody. And again, when it becomes just somebody, you might let your guards down to the point that you may end up getting hurt, and it may become dangerous for you. It can become lethal for
Mhm.
you during this time if you're not careful. So we just want to talk about that and some experiences that we've noticed and some things that we've done. So we've been doing this for a while now. So yeah, cuffing season is a serious season. Um, and we just want to tell people, be careful. We just warn you, be careful during this time of mating and rutting and that kind of stuff.
Absolutely. And because, so this is November and we just came out of Domestic Violence Awareness Month, which it kind of can also be a part that kind of lingers, and that doesn't go away either. It goes on all year long, but like Pastor Jay was saying, you do have to be very careful, because even the word saying no, and that is a very powerful word, it is also a very deadly word if you are not saying no in a safety, in a place where that no can be taken and you're not harmed, be it male or female. Sometimes people do not like the word no because that's rejection. And that doesn't feel good when someone says, no, I'm not interested. No, that's not what I don't want that.
Yes, true, true. So today we're going to discuss blood in the water. One of T's favorite topics. We're going to discuss blood in the water.
Yeah.
And T, what is your definition of blood in the water over these years? What did you come up with?
I've come up with, it's an individual who's very vulnerable and others can see the vulnerabilities, and it's giving off a scent. It's giving off something that lets others know that they need to be preyed on. Not that you want to be preyed on, but they know there are signs and things that tell others that you are ripe for the preying on. So that's
Yeah,
what I've learned over these years.
yeah, it's a scent, it's a disposition, it's a attitude, or a posture that you take that lets those who are predators out here, knowing it's cuffing season, and really we're going to be talking about women most of the time. These men know that this is the time where people want to have social gatherings and walking with somebody on their arm. The woman does, and maybe the man. But we find that the women are the more vulnerable ones because they're the ones giving off the scent of prey, while the predator is giving off the scent of I want to get with you. Now, the blood in the water comes from the scent. The scent is out there. It's the way you move. You're moving just a little different than you did a month back. You're hypersensitive to people telling you that you look nice, you look good, and you're looking for the perfect person, or a person that you can socialize with during this time. You have Christmas, you have Thanksgiving, which is a big social gathering. You have Christmas, which is another social gathering. Then you have, of course, New Year's, the beginning of a new year. Why not have a boo during the new year? And then to top it off, you have the big gift giving time of Valentine's Day, which which officially ends the season. But if you're actually cuffed to the wrong person because you displayed blood in the water, it can actually be detrimental to you for the rest of the year. Because there are men out here, again, who are praying and looking for women who have maybe had a bad relationship during the year, and yet and still they want to participate in these social things, but they want to go with somebody. They don't want to be the only person in the room, or one of the only people in the room without somebody on their arms, without a date. And again, with that mentality, you might drop your guard for quality and character and pick someone just because they fit your physical and mental standards, and maybe tap into the emotion part of you, which says, I want to be with somebody right now. I mean, just I deal with a group of young ladies, and I hear it. I hear it like, nobody wants to be alone. I want to be with somebody. And I warn them that during this season, I can even sense that it's just like hyperactive. Like I just want to go out and, where can I go to find somebody? Now think about
Mm-hmm.
this. Where can I go to find somebody, be with somebody, potentially find somebody so I can be with them during this holiday season?
Mm-hmm.
And then I asked them, well, what is the criteria? A lot of times what they give me is physical, economic, and social, meaning that they're physically attractive, they're economically viable to be able to take them out and do things with them, and they have a social status. They they feel good walking in the room with them. Um, and we're not talking about character,
Mm-hmm.
you know. And there's a lot of men and women who have those three things, but their character's no good. And if you give off that scent, if you give off that smell, if you give off that attraction, you're going to attract a wolf. That's why we call it blood in the water. You're going to attract the wolf that wants to come in, prey on you, take advantage of you financially, emotionally, sexually, and discard you once they're done. Okay. And it can be very dangerous because when you wake up, maybe you wake up, you in the middle of being devoured, and you wake up, right? And you decide that you want out, like you said. Now you tell no, and now it escalates to real violence. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I tell women all the time, if you really want to know how a man is, tell him no on everything from the jump. Tell him no on everything. Because if he's a low level predator, he can't take no.
Mm-hmm.
He's gonna explode maybe after the second no. If he's a mid-grade predator, he'll take no, but he'll spend a whole bunch of time trying to convince you to change your mind. But if he's a
Mm-hmm.
high level predator, he already has other prey. He just wants you. So as long as he is being fulfilled somewhere else that you may not know about, then he can take his time with you because you're the prize. So necessarily saying no, T, what I've learned, necessarily saying no, it depends on the level of the predator, because they will sit back and go with the no. They won't pressure you. They'll just try to get in your head. They'll try to get in your head with phone conversations and not make you feel pressured. But in essence, you will begin to pressure yourself because you're going to like, well, this guy's not pressuring me, so I'm just waiting for him. And then once he has you to the point where you're comfortable, your guards are down, and you'll probably go into about the men who've been pressuring you or the bad relationship you've been in. And of course, he's going to say everything right. He's going to hone in what you care about most. And he's going to sit back and plot it out. And when the time is right, he's going to strike. He's going to strike. And when he strikes, he's going to accomplish because he wore you down with not pressuring you. We're not, getting to know you. He's going to stand off and approach you from afar until you let him in the door. It's almost like the story of Dracula. They say, Dracula can't come in unless you invite him. Well, this is the same kind of predator. They'll be around you, but they're waiting for you to invite them in because they're approaching you different from everybody else, right? Which is a not approach at all, but you don't know.
Yeah.
You're judging them based upon the low level and the mid level, but this high level, they got a lot of game, and they will use that game to get into you in many different ways, if you know what I mean. Okay, so we have to be on guard for that person. You still have to tell them no. You might say, you still have to tell them no. So T, what do you think?
I think that, so we're talking about wolves and we're also talking about sharks. So you just mentioned that one of the sharks that we usually talk about is a chameleon shark, but I ran into a different one. The one that you were speaking of, I'm going to give it a name, a hypothetical shark.
Okay.
So I'm going to give you that because this is one of those things, because I do my research on the challenge.
Okay.
So I'll give you one of my stories. So I ran into one of these hypothetical sharks. So first conversation, person says, I'm a Christian. Okay. We are saying we're Christian, right? Haven't asked about salvation story. Just, I'm a Christian. Next thing says, oh, well, we are all believers and all these things. So the conversation moves from Christian to somehow being sexually charged. It says, well, I'm not asking you to do anything. Okay, right. But the conversation is not good. Okay, I understand that, but hypothetically, what would you do if this? Like, well, why are you asking about hypotheticals if we're not going, hey, I'm not like those other guys. Don't treat me like that. Don't close that door. Don't do that to me. I'm not like those other guys. I want to get to know you, but I'm just saying hypothetically, I'm not asking you to do anything. I'm not asking you to give me anything. This is just a hypothetical what if. And then if I open that door and say, well, that will be thrown back because it's a trap. It comes back like, well, I thought you were a Christian, but you said you do. You said it was a hypothetical, but it's the trapping of, will you answer that? Do you regret what you said? Are you reneging on what you said? But you asked me that weird kind of question. So it's circular and it's weird because that person wants an answer to open the door into saying more sexually charged things, even though they're professing to be a Christian, but it's really just a trapping so that they can say more stuff. It's like, listen, I really am not asking you to do anything. We haven't even met. It's just a hypothetical question.
Right. And there's no harms. And see, and that's the thing, that chameleon like that ask questions that they can back out of. Okay. They can back out of, I'm dealing with a situation with a couple of people. Their kind of stories the same. Whereas one of and this happens in the church. Whereas the clergy member, that's a male, says something to the effect of they call the person that they're attracted to. Now, again, they're sharks, wolves, and charlatans. Okay, don't think because they wear a collar and they carry a Bible and they preach, they're not. As we have seen through the past decade, they're being exposed left and right, and they use their positions to enthrall you, to oppress you. to dropping down your guard. So what they will say is something like this, I got a question to ask you. And you'll be like, because you're already in relationship of some kind with them. This is not a stranger. And they'll say, now I don't want you to get offended. And your natural reaction is you hold them in high esteem. You're not going to get offended. And here they come with a sexually charged question towards you, or make a sexual star declaration or a statement. You're hot, you're this, I think you're this, you're that. And if we could get together, blah, blah, blah. Now you have to remember, hypothetical or question, they're waiting for the response. And if you come at them in a hard way, they'll back off and say, hey, remember, this is just hypothetical. But if you bite the bait, now it goes from hypothetical to, in their mind, possibility. See, you bit the bait of the question, and the question takes you into possibility, and then it goes from possibility to, wow, we probably could. And your mind may still be thinking hypothetical, but in their mind, they're plotting when you're going to get together and make that hypothetical question or declaration real.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
All because you didn't stop that line of declaration and questioning when it was going on. Because again, it might be flattering. If you're looking for someone, I mean, again, your guards are down. You might take some of it, thinking that you can control the narrative. And that's the mistake. When you got somebody who's a professional shark or wolf in sheep's clothing, and they're the high level, beware, because anything you say can be used and held against you.
Yeah.
Anything that you say can be used and held. Any kind gesture can be taken to another level. And then you have to put the brakes on it. And really, their goal is to get as many maybes and yeses as they can. When you first said no, and they describe themselves as X, but they're turning out to be Y. And when you push back, which you should, they jump back and say, I'm just kidding, or I'm just playing. And remember, you said you would not get upset. Now it's back on you. Now you look like the bad person because you're getting upset based upon your declaration that you would not. So beware if anybody comes to you, any situation. I want to ask you something. I want to tell you something. I don't want you to get upset. They already know that it's should upset you. They just want to see how far they can get into the story or into the questioning or into the declaration before you stop them. And if they can get you to nod your head and agree with them, and they're going to tell you some great things about yourself and how attractive you are and how you smell good, and they can't wait to see you. They didn't see your profile, and you talked on the phone a couple of times, and you seem to gel together, and they talked about your kids, and they'll find as you talk to them what you are focused on, and they will play into that until they get what they want. And you, like I said, you're blood in the water. You're smelling, and this person is not who they say they are. And by the time you discover, it may be too late.
Yeah.
Because we saw stories, we read stories, looked at interviews where somebody fell into the shark's or the wolf's arms, and now you got restraining orders, you got violence, you got apartments being torn up, you got resources being used up. And all could have been avoided if you just left your guard up a little higher and just sensed what was really going on. Anybody can be tricked.
Yeah.
I don't want to make it seem like, man or woman can be tricked. But what we need to do during this season or any other time is really take our time to get to know people. With the internet, everything is fast.
Yep.
Now, today, you think you know somebody because of a 30-second clip.
Oh.
And that's impossible.
Yeah.
But the internet tells you that. So you figure, well, I looked at their profile looked at what they say. I might look at 10 clips. Okay, 30-second, 10 clips. You don't know that person, and now you're inboxing them, instant messaging them, and now you carry on a dialogue, and it goes from the text to finally the talk. It goes from the text to the talk. And if the shark or the chameleon or the wolf sees that you're becoming more interested and you're in contacting them, they may start off contacting you a lot, right?
Yeah.
But eventually they want to see reciprocation, and they want to see you start contacting them. And once they see that, they know they have you. And then it begins the asking you to do things that you normally wouldn't do, maybe over the internet, maybe in person, but you normally wouldn't do that. But now you're invested. They know a lot about you. They know your buttons, and they pushed all the ones that you have exposed to them that are get you in the mood to be conquered, gotten, relationship, whatever. And again, the danger is you don't know that person. You don't really know that person. You just met them in Halloween. Now you kicking it with them and by Thanksgiving, bringing around your friends and family and coworkers. You got to be careful. You got
Yeah,
to be careful.
you do. And when you were talking about that before too, one of the things that as well, challenge is not really something I look for people, but as you have taught me over the years before when I was using it, it is wonderful for people to have conversation. Like you said, you don't get to know them, but you will in conversation pull out data. If you allow them to talk more than you do, then they can start to show their hand, which I found for me that when I was doing that a long time ago, and even now when I get on there just to get some research stuff, when people start talking about themselves, you get to hear where they're coming from. And if you let them talk long enough, they'll tell you who they are. And at that point, you should not be like, oh, well, I'll just get over it. No, when they say who they are and
Right.
they've told you what they're about, you need to listen and not ignore that. Well, he was just saying, no, he told you exactly what he's about. And it's usually comes in that whole conversation. It's a very long conversation, and you can extract all the information. They just tell you what they're looking for if you will be open to listen and not block it out about the potential you think you hear in the person.
Right. Right. And that's the key. You keep your ears open and keep your ears open and your mouth shut.
Mm-hmm.
Let them talk. Even when they ask you a question, don't comment.
Yeah.
Because they'll get frustrated. Say, "Did you hear me? Yeah, I heard you. What you have to say? Not nothing really. You mean you're not going to tell me? No. See, we back to that. No, no. Well, how many kids you got? Don't what does that have to do with anything? Well, I just want to let you know I love kids. That's not necessarily good or bad, but you know, um, we got to be careful that people say they love kids, right? So, you know,
Right.
so so
Right.
so you have to get yourself to the point that you can just be quiet and let them be them and let
Mm-hmm.
them get frustrated, because then the real them is going to bubble out, and you've seen it. It'll
Yes.
bubble out in spades to the point they're cursing you. Now this is the same person that was telling you how great you are
Oh,
and
yeah.
that you was the greatest thing next to sliced bread, and now you're like burnt toast
Right.
because you
Exactly.
didn't give them what they wanted. And
Mm-hmm.
and the real problem with society, with the internet and social media, is these wolves have mass people to choose from now. They used to
Yeah.
be relegated to their community where they live, right?
Mm-hmm.
To the clubs
Yes.
they go to. Now they can travel around the world at the speed of light in a click. And so
Mm-hmm.
there's many more wolves out there, many more sharks, a lot of chameleons, but there's also a lot of prey around the world.
Mm-hmm.
And whether it be for cuffing season or to get in the cult, it's the same blood in the water. Uh, our theory is like it doesn't make a difference what season it is. You could be blood in the water and be right for a cult. You could be blood in the water right for a bad church. You could be blood in the water, right, for to be taken advantage of financially.
Mm-hmm.
But it starts with you being so vulnerable and wanting something, and they recognize it. It's just like when I was talking about, and I think expanding my thought process, I said that false prophets exist because the people want them. They are born out of the people. They're not some anomaly, right?
Yeah.
It's the
Right.
people that want to have their ears tickled. There's the people all in the Old Testament. There's the people that didn't want to listen to the prophet that convicted them and challenged them and chastised them. They wanted somebody to tell them what they wanted to hear. And I believe that Satan has a false prophet, false person that's ready to come into your life based upon you not recognizing that you're needy and
Mm.
greedy.
Me
And they
agree.
send that person, and that person says everything to play into that disposition of your thoughts. And now
Mm-hmm.
you're subject to anything that may happen because you don't control your own thoughts. You haven't got control of yourself. You have allowed yourself to sink to the place where you're running by what you feel versus what you know.
Uh-huh.
So you can be
Yeah.
cuffed
Yeah.
by anything. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think you had mentioned that some time ago when we did this before. You had mentioned that the emotional vulnerabilities that people have, you're right, excuse me, you're right for a lot of things, but that doesn't mean you need to lower your standards for anything because of that desperation or that loneliness. And I remember you were talking about that before, like because it's a time when you're alone and you feel lonely, you need to sit with yourself. You need to be going out just grabbing people. You need to sit with yourself. You need to sit with yourself. You need to sit with the Lord. You need to figure out what you like. You need to figure out who you are before you involve anybody in your life and heal and do all those things before you even try to start stepping out to look for people. And like you and I have said, there's nothing wrong if you want to go play the game. Just know you need to know what cost you're willing to pay. That's it. You're
Yeah.
grown. You're going to do it. Just know the cost.
Yeah. Count up the cost.
Mm-hmm.
The Bible's got good practical advice, but it all tells you us to count up the cost to follow Christ. Count the cost to do anything.
Yeah.
Really, if you're a really mature person, you'll count up the cost of the negative because the positive is evident, right?
Right.
But you go down the prim road of everything gonna work out and everything is my boo and we're gonna work things out. What if you don't? How could this person hurt you? How far have you let them into your life that they can cause damage to you? I mean, I know women and men who got fired from jobs because they started dating the wrong person, because the person started stalking them and harassing them at their job and threatening them. And the job say, we can't do anything, but we know we can do one thing. We can fire you.
Yeah.
To protect other employees. We feel for you, but you gotta go.
Mm-hmm.
We can only do so much. But you
Yeah.
brought this person into your life.
Mm-hmm.
You introduced them to everybody at the job. We see you walking out to the car, getting picked up by him. And now you're telling me that you done filed a restraining order and he done jumped on you this weekend and stole your money, stole your credit cards. See, these are the things that can happen when you're not careful. See, a mature person, I'm gonna say this again, any situation that now, and it took me a minute to get to this, I count up the negative cost of entertaining any kind of social relationship with anybody, including people in my congregation. How close do I let them get? Because how dangerous are they? Not saying they're not saved, but you have to be careful who you let in your inner circle.
Very true.
You got to be careful who you let your hair down around. You have to be careful because you don't know what their motive is for trying to get close to you. At a
Right.
certain age, you should be trying to be buddy hustling.
Right.
If you have 5 friends, and you call them friends, man, that's all you need.
Mm-hmm.
Keep everybody on the associate level. You shouldn't have 25 best friends. You
Yeah.
know, I mean, just because you grew up together, you shared a time in history together, you don't keep them as a best friend because you shared a space and time with them from age 2 to age 16 necessarily. I'm not saying you don't, but things change. You change. You matured. And what you did at 16, hopefully you're not doing at 35 and 40.
Yeah.
And hopefully you met some people along the way that's on the same path as you. Back to what I talk about, the TSA moment. Same thing, this is evolved in my thinking as you see. You get to the point with somebody, just like at the TSA, that you're going through the security and you know your destination and you know where you're supposed to be going, and God has set you there. And there's people that you just can't take with you. And if you decide to stay back with them, you won't reach your destination. So you say, Pastor, what does that have to do with blood and water? This is what it has to do with. There are some people that are good for you and for a season, but at the point of you going to your next destination, the relationship of the blood may cause you to stay back and not go forward. And now you have been subject to being preyed upon to the intimacy and the nostalgia of the past, when you can't let go.
Yeah.
See, and it's hurting you because you can't let go. And you have all of the reasons, but in your heart, you know that you can't take they're not going in the same path as you no more. And it's okay to let them go. It's okay to get out of that relationship that you started during cuffing season, but you need to go in understanding that may cause you some damage.
Yeah.
Depending on the mental state of that person that you done been cuffed to, because they might not want to let you go. They might not want to let you go. They may feel that and see, a lot of people that's the predator, you're not a person, you become their property. And they don't want, if they can't have you, they might go with they don't want nobody else to have you.
Yeah.
And that's when it becomes dangerous, whether male or female. It becomes dangerous. Like I say, you go from having fun, kicking it, going out, eating, going to the movies, possibly having sex and all that stuff. You go from that to windows breaking, car tires being flat, all kind of strange, violent stuff happening, all because you're ready to pull away. But that lets me know you didn't really know that person. You didn't sit long enough. And let's say that person fooled you. Well, that person fooled you. So who to fool? You. You can't govern the wolf. You can avoid him. You can't govern the shark. Don't swim in the water. You can't govern the chameleon because they change all the time to the situation. So the best thing you can do is, yes, you're amongst them, but don't get so close. Don't think you can swim up to a shark and say, okay, I've got close enough and they can't get me. Or you're going to be near a wolf and that wolf can't track you down. Or you're going to be handling a chameleon and you figure you'll catch the change and then back off. Go with the opposite. Let me keep saying no and let me figure out their angle. Because when they say it, believe them. I found out in women, sometimes in relationships, I've been in relationships where somebody said, that person crazy. And it comes from their mother or their father, right? And you ignore it because you think it's funny. And they chuckle, but they serious. They're telling you something's wrong with this person that you don't really know yet. And right now, everything is good because you're the new one on the block. But before you, there's been many victims. But I'm not going to tell their business. I'm just going to warn you. They're crazy. And I've been burned with that myself growing up. Yes.
Yeah. So I when I hear you say that's the part that I think people don't understand. Cuffing season is not about the people that are having amazing relationships, and talk about them because obviously they're doing well. It's people that don't seem to understand, right? Pastor, you don't understand that, yes, at cuffing season, you want to get together. Yes, the biological, the whole thing, shoes underneath other people's bed, fine. But sometimes these people, they do not know how to let it go and let it end, and trying to play with temptation, seeing how far you can move because you think, like you were just saying, Pastor J, you can't govern these people. If you think you're smarter than the average wolf and chameleon, you're sadly mistaken. It'd be better if you stay away from them. find another move to avoid them and not go over there, because they do know how to play you, and they know how to stick you and move. And you're sitting, oh wow, I can do this. They're not that bad. It's just a dinner. It's just this.
Right.
Okay, well, there's
Or they
expectation.
show me, you show them, excuse me, they show you that they're a wolf, a shark, chameleon, and you say, "Oh, I can tame them."
Right. No, you can't. I mean, Pastor Jay, we've talked about so many different things, like even the signs that people show, like even if you, like for me, and I'm sure other people have heard it too, like when you even go out on a dinner for women, when you go out on a dinner and you have to listen to what that person is saying, what this gentleman is saying,
Right.
how much money he spent for X, Y, Z, and the third. There is an expectation, even if he didn't say it out of his mouth, like I expect. Just pay attention to what they are showing. Well, I paid for this, and I paid for this expensive thing, and I paid for this expensive thing, and I've taken you to dinner. Well, in all of that, that doesn't mean that you have to, right? I'm just saying, look at the signs of why they do what they do and where they took you to, what restaurant they took you to, and what do you think they would be expecting afterwards. You don't have to, but just know you're not, you have to be cognizant of what it is. And I think, Pastor Jay, I had shared that to you about when I had gone out on that date,
Right. The guy
and
that
that
flew
person,
in,
right,
Batman.
and
Yeah.
he and you were wondering too, like why. But then I had to put in my head, you pay for a flight that costs a lot. You rented a Beamer, you stayed at the Hampton Inn, and you're paid for a dinner. That's four things. The dinner not so much, but those other three things are kind of pricey. Was there an expectation of something that I didn't grab onto because of signs? I'm sure there was, because he said how much everything costs. So for all of that, something should have been given, but
Right.
I don't
Right.
see that.
Right. Right. He didn't want to be repaid with credits or dollars that he spent. He wanted
Right,
to be paid with the essence of who you are.
right.
Ladies, the most valuable thing that you have to offer any man is you. And if you sell it for a real expensive dinner and to ride in a BMW and to showboat, then okay. I mean, realize that you're that woman. All right. But see, them predators know that. That's why they show up like that. And they're hoping. And this guy was hoping, that when he got to the end of the meal and y'all walked around a little bit, then it's, you want to come to my hotel and just chill out for a minute, you know. And he's hoping, going through your mind, like, man, he didn't do nothing. He didn't approach me. And he'll say, we ain't got to do nothing. We just sit there and watch a movie or something, And now you're in the den of the wolf. You're in the ocean with the shark. You're in the trees with the chameleon. And all of a sudden they change, they flip. And then, it could get violent because they're going to bring up all that they've done for you, and they don't even know you. So then why can't you? You know? And now you got to rumble, or you got to run out, something, or you may decide, it may get to point where you might end up getting, sexually assaulted,
Yeah.
And that's real stuff. That's real talk. It can happen. You went in innocent, but you didn't, but you just kept going. You just kept going. You know, I'm always for, let somebody know where you're going. Don't go nowhere else. This your first date. You ain't got no business going in this hotel room. I don't care if he came from Egypt. I don't care if he a Saudi Arabian prince. You have no business going to his bedroom of any kind. You know,
Mhm.
he want to talk to you. He make a resident. He's staying at the Ritz Carlton. Talk to him in the lobby. It's nice in the lobby at the Ritz Carlton. You ain't got to go to his room.
Yeah.
But again, women, come on now. Be honest. Some of you have fell for that. Some of you have been hurt by that, and you're still dealing with that pain. You deal with that pain, but you gotta. Yeah, he's a creep or she's a creep. We can do it both ways. But you gotta examine yourself of how did you fall for that creep.
Mhm.
You got to do self-examination. Like, what in me made me fall for this person who has shown himself to be so detrimental to my well-being? And that takes a hard examination. And if you do that examination, technically you should be ready for the next time you feel this way, and maybe you'll do something different. Can't tell you what to do, but maybe you'll approach it different. Maybe you'll enjoy your meal and say, hey, thank you. It was nice meeting you. I'll talk to you on the phone, and get up and leave.
Mm-hmm.
And if you feel pressured, like, okay, they'll pressure me at the table, or let's go to the room and this, that, and the other, excuse yourself to the bathroom and leave.
Right.
Because you don't want to talk to that person no more anyway. So just leave. Just leave. And of course, don't fall for the okie doke. I left my wallet in my pants, and he get you to pay for it. Please. That's so old. It's like, that's so low level, like, boom, wannabe wolf. Because sharks and wolves and chameleons are very sophisticated creatures.
Yeah.
And their job is able to seek out those who they can devour. The chameleon, they change color so well, they blend in. So the chameleon is the person who looks like a good guy, acts like a good guy. But then all of a sudden they change into the wolf or the shark. And before you know it, you sitting on, as we say, the side of some bed with your shoes under somebody else's bed, wondering what happened. So it's very dangerous out here. We just want to warn you, don't be blood in the water if you can. The key to the first line of defense is what word, T?
No.
No.
Yeah.
Can we go out? No. Can I meet you somewhere? No. Well, we let's just talk on the phone. Okay, we can do that. And trust me, if you just end up talking on the phone enough, they'll stop calling you. As they say, they'll ghost you.
Right. You'll get ghosted. You should be happy about being ghosted. Some people don't see that. That might be a benefit. I know people don't like being ghosted, like being zombied, but think about that. If that person can ghost you, then that means they weren't really going to be consistent with you anyway. So let them ghost you over the phone instead of spend time wasting your life, your energy. Let them do it on the phone. If they ghost you, good. If they call you back, you could just block them. Like, I haven't heard from you like in a year. Sir, goodbye. Woman, good night.
In your research, you had guys just all of a sudden pop up out of nowhere a year later.
Oh yeah.
During this time, like.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And they don't even know who they call, and that's let you know they call so many people.
Exactly. Like, hello.
You're in there. You're denoted as a woman, and they're just going through their list of possible prey. Here they come. They ain't talked to you in a year, and then they try to backdoor, like, oh yeah, I remember you. I remember you. Yeah, we were talking, and that he don't remember you. He just going through he done struck out so much, he just going back to the old list.
Exactly. So dusted a monkey off the shelf. Like, let's see if it still works. Clink, clank, clink.
Yeah. Let me wind you up. Let me see if I can wind you up. I don't remember if I wound you up the last time, but you know what I'm thinking? They should know, because the fact they don't know who you are is an example of them not winding you up. Like, if they get to your number, they don't really have a face and a conversation with that number, that means they failed. So why would you call that number? See how sick they are? They don't even know how to catalog their failures.
That's horrible. Well, Pastor Jay, that is horrible. But I always enjoy us doing Blood in the Water, because I think that's one of our really great cuffing season episodes. And plus, when we brought it up and when you started it, I was like, we should always lead it with that one, kind of to set the stage for cuffing season.
Right.
So I'm glad you came over for that. So I don't know which next episode we're going to do, because we have so many, but we're going to start wrapping up. So I don't know if you want to tell people what next cuffing season, or that you can just look out for when we do our next.
You know what? One that you like to, we're going to do Hub Son.
Oh, yeah.
Next. We're going to do Hub Son. So if you're listening, stay tuned for Hub Son.
That's a good one.
Ladies like that one. Men hate it, but ladies love it. I'm going to expose.
You might have to guess too, right?
Yeah, I'm going to expose the man who's actually a son and pretends to be a husband, fiance, or a boyfriend. And you know it, and they know it too.
Hub Son's coming up next. I'm excited.
Yes.
Well, yeah. Well, you guys, Pastor Jay has been so gracious. It's always great for him to come over here and us do cuffing season. So we have a lot of seasons and episodes coming up for cuffing season. So I'm super excited. You guys heard it here first. Hubson is coming next. So you will see us and we'll have our little lives going up to let you know when that's going to be. But for now, we're going to get ready to close out and get out of here. And Pastor Jay says,
we always want you to be encouraged, blessed, and at peace, and walk in the truth of the Lord. And check out Walk in Truth TV on YouTube.
Absolutely. You guys check out all this stuff. Don't forget every podcast platform you could possibly find. Walk in Truth Radio Network, get all his stuff. And like he said about Walk in Truth TV, please check out his stuff. There's great words of wisdom. There's great Bible studies. You will learn if you just sit down, shut up, and learn something. That's the Pastor Jay quote. So that's not mine. And he's here, so I didn't steal it. But so it is really good stuff. Just tune in. You will learn a lot. I have learned a lot. I continue to learn. So I'm going to bid you guys adieu. Remember to be blessed, motivated, and always inspired to do what the Lord lays on your heart. You guys take care.
See you guys later.
See you. Bye now.
Bye-bye.
Through